last year when I faced Baishal in Dublin, I said to everyone, this is going to be the fight of the night. I will win, but this is going to be the fight of the night. And I was right. And right now I feel in my bones that it's going to be the performance of the night.
All right, so today I'm joined by the number 5 Bellator Featherweight contender, Pedro Carvalho, as he's back in action at Bellator 285 in Dublin. He's set to take on Mads Burnell in a huge top 5 matchup. How's everything going today, sir?
Yeah, great training going, camp life, can't complain, you know what I mean?
And we've interviewed some fighters that are from that gym already for this fight coming up, and everyone seems to be pumped up, excited for this card. It seems to be like a group thing, almost like everyone's together. Do you feel that at the gym at SBG Ireland?
Yeah, 100%. Every time Bellator comes to Dublin, do a show, the energy in the mat, it's like it's always good energy, in here. But when Bellator is in town, is a different atmosphere because normally we have a bunch of guys fighting in the card, and everyone is training with the same goals, same kind of type of energy, and it's great. It's always great.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the sense that I get. It seems very present in that gym. And I think or at least hopefully, things go your way that night. Looks like you guys got a lot of positive energy going in that direction. Before we get into this fight, man, at Bellator 285, I want to touch on the last time we saw you in action, which is what I like to ask the fighters, just because, it's good to get some clarity after the fight, right? After the fact that some time has passed. So as we look now, as time has passed in hindsight, do you feel you had done enough to win that fight? It was obviously a very close one.
Yeah, I did it. At the time, the fight was finished, and when the decision was done, I was super frustrated, but at the same time, I tried to be as calm as possible because I was always thinking, okay, I need to see the fight. And after I see it, it was close, of course, and I will never say that it was a robbery because there's always arguments to the judges that gave the decision to Piotr. But following the book of rules, I think I did more than enough for the fact that the first round was his round, third round was my round, so pretty much the decider was the second round. And on the second round, pretty much the only thing he did there was those takedowns, but he did nothing with the takedowns because I was immediately stand up. While in especially midway the second round forward, I was putting more and more pressure and more pressure, and you could see that it was hard to him to handle it. So for all that, and I think it's mine, but at the same time, it's past for me. It's past, and there's all those things because I'm never gonna be, and that's why I kind of stopped talking about that because it sounds that I'm blaming others for my failures, and I take 100% blame for that because it should be my job to not let any doubts in there, and I left doubts in there. That's why that happened. So I take the blame for that, independent on the judges' decisions. But it's done now, and I'm happy that in a way. I don't know if it was or not, but at least it was what Bellator show with this, because I wanted to fight Mads Burnell. I wanted number 3. That was my plan. After that fight, winning to Piotr and go after Mads Burnell. And, I got the fight that I want. I am fighting for the position that I want. So that kind of shows me that, in a way, Bellator might agree with my point. But, all that, it's secondary. The primary thing is I'm preparing for the fight that I want, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and before we move on to the fight that matters, right? Your next fight, the important one. I want to ask you one last thing. Is that I actually was going to ask you that what you just said. I was going to ask you, do you think Bellator agrees with you? Because it seems like you got rewarded for that, right? It doesn't seem like you're taking any step back. You're fighting number 3 guy in the world, and also, you're happy with your performance in that fight?
More than less. The worst things that I was happy, especially, I've been trying to develop more and more and more my striking game, and especially on second and third round, because on the first round I did some mistakes and I paid for it, but especially on the second and third round, when I saw the fight, I start to see, those developments starts to, because it's not from day to night that thing starts to weapon to work. And I saw those things, and in that matter I'm happy. In other way, I think I was a bit dumb in the approach that I had on the first round. Not that I never underestimate Piotr, but he did a good job when he stayed on the back foot, kind of run away, and then hit and get out. And I was the dumb guy chasing him, and pretty much, I gave him that round unnecessarily. But overall, there was very good things there that I take it and will carry with me from this next fight. There were others there didn't went that well that I also will carry with me to be even a better fighter in this fight. So overall, I think there's more positives than negatives.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. With again, especially the direction that you're headed in now, right? With your next fight. So let's get into that fight, right? Is obviously, it feels like with a win, this could be a very big fight for you, right? Do you think that this could be a fight that could put you right back on track in terms of relevancy in the division, getting a title fight?
Yeah, I think so. Right? It's hard to not agree with that because Mads is a big name, is number three in the division. So taking in consideration that, I think for the looks of the division, so AJ McKee went up to lightweight. Uh, we still don't know if the trilogy will happen one day or not, but that's all that matters because eventually it looks like that is fighting now at lightweight. Bordix is now fighting for the belt, and with me beating Mads, it leaves me there fighting eventually for a number one contender. With I don't know. I think their Pico will face next Jeremy Kennedy. That's my suspicion. I think that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. And eventually, if Pico wins, maybe I'll fight for number one contender. But I don't want to be talking about possible futures. I just think that might work that way. But right now, my head is 100% in September, and that's it.
Absolutely. And I don't even think there's any need to go further, right? It seems like your mind is on this fight. But I do want to ask you this, though, about your division. Do you feel like it's wide open? You just mentioned Patricio Pitbull. He recently just lost a fight, right? Doesn't look as unbeatable as maybe in recent times. AJ McKee, well, you could argue Pitbull lost two fights, right? Which is what I was going to ask you in a little bit. AJ McKee is moving into lightweight now with his next matchup. Does it feel like it's a division that's wide open right now for the taking?
Yeah, I think because for quite some time it looked like we were kind of stuck in a soap opera between Patricio and AJ there, and then we have number one contender Borix, and no one really knows what's gonna happen. And now things just happened with this announcement of the card in LA, and yeah, it's a good motivator factor seeing that now the line is running, and that just leaves a clear path for me, for example, that I want to fight for the belt. That just leaves me like a clear path there. I know what I have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to this card, right? What do you make of Mads Burnell as a matchup inside the cage?
um First of all, I think we are very similar in one concerns that both of us are well rounded. We know how to strike. We are good grapplers. um we both have great cardio, so I think it will be a lot of kind of, in a way, I come for violence. I always come for violence. That's what I love about fighting. And but at the same time, I think it will be a lot of a chess match, because Mads is a very smart fighter, and that's the number one thing that I'm taking in consideration fighting him. There's no space for silly mistakes, but that's normal. That's the top of the division when you want to fight for the belt. It has to be like that. And I think it's about that. I see a lot of holes, little holes where I can explore with my own game. um, Things that I know that I'm been working in doing differently, that I know that it will work. So it's just step by step, believe in the process and go out there and just put on practice.
And you said there was some holes perhaps that you would be looking to exploit. But when you look at his skill set overall, right? Do you think maybe not? I'm not going to ask you if he's your toughest guy you faced or anything like that. But in terms of his skill set again, do you think he brings something different than what you've seen from anybody else in the top 10?
Not really. He is like probably top three best guys that I'm facing, that I've faced before, and now that I'm facing him. But I don't think that he brings nothing, even though that his skill set is very good overall. I don't see nothing that I never seen before. You know what I mean? I faced world class strikers, I faced world class grapplers, submission specialists, wrestlers, and even on daily basis here in the gym. So I don't see nothing where he brings that I never seen before. He has very good, certain very good characteristics. He attacks very well the body. He has a good boxing movement. He mixes very well with the takedowns. But like I've said before, it's nothing that I know I'm used to it. So I think stylistically, it's a fight good for me, very good for me. But it's always going to be a hard fight, of course. But I have no doubt that in September I'll take the win.
So I'm assuming you started camp for this. If so, how's everything been going for that so far?
Great. Everything is great. Just I you know I have the lucky of have good people around me in Portugal while I'm there. With a family, and the level stays high there. They just, and then when I come back to Ireland, it's just putting on skyrocket rhythm, and that's all it is. Right now, red zone count zone, and now it's just moving on. Keep everything, keep doing what I set myself to do, and work on details, and that's it.
So does a preparation change differently this time compared to last time around? Like I know you said perhaps you feel like you got the win and it was a very close fight, but does maybe the preparation change so that maybe it's not so close this time?
Yeah, I did some changes. I did some changes that I felt that I need to do it. Um, Training wise and even approach, because the main one is that I always work hard. My entire life was, my main thing, my go-to was like work hard. That's it. Hard work, pay off. But at the same time, I already have, a great condition, and when the fight will come, I'll be more than ready. I'm always. So it's time to, instead of be so focused and work hard, keep working hard, of course. But my focus is now in fight and train smart. Because there's development aspects of my game that needs to be appraised better. So little details that make huge difference. Sometimes it's not even visible, but in a fight makes a huge difference. So all those little details, that's what I'm looking for. Of course, I have the new things in my camp, but that's the main thing. I can say in this camp, I'm focused on being smart and develop things that I know that will make difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of developing, right, you are still 27 years of age, if I'm not mistaken, right? Still very young in the sport. You've already accomplished a lot, though, of course. But that means that, when you were even younger, you fought for a world championship fairly early than a lot of people would, right? Do you think that that experience is going to help you now leading into perhaps when you fight for a championship again? You think that it was almost meant to be like it was good that I went through that so that now I could, do things the right way? And also, there was no crowd at that time, right? say you win the championship now, you're winning in front of a crowd. So it almost would feel to me like it's more likely that that feels right.
Exactly. No, it's now that you said like that's you just went through a thought that I have in my mind for, and I speak with other people about that for quite some time. Like, of course, I did my mistakes when I fought for the belt. Um, I was immature. I think that was it. I was young. Not that I'm old. I'm still young. I look older than I am. But the main thing was I was just stupid and immature because I was facing one of the best featherweights in the world. And I remember when he walked in the cage, I walked first and then the champion comes after. And I remember when he walked into the cage, I remember to thought, man, you are nothing to me. You know what? I'm gonna finish in the first round, and that was completely the opposite of our game plan. Our game plan wasn't at all to attack on the first round, and I exposed myself and paid the price for being immature. But that's normal. I was only at the time I was only 24, I think. Yeah, 24, 25. So I grew up a lot with that fight. I grew up a lot. I still did some mistakes after that, but I can say now that I'm a capable fight to be world champion because I did those mistakes and I beat that. And 100% no doubts, fighting for a belt with crowd, it's for me at least as a fighter, it's a game changing. Like I live to fight in front of people. That's what makes fighting special. It's like the whole time wars in the Colosseum. That's like they wouldn't fight if it wasn't crowd there. You know what I mean? And that I think that's the whole thing about the spirit about fighting is the crowd. And there's maybe fighters that don't care. If I have to fight with no crowd, I'll fight. But fighting with crowd, it's for me, it's what makes special. So I think in the future that will happen when I fight for the belt and have crowd. It will truly be a special moment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like you guys are the today's version, the embodiment of like those, Romans fighting in the, in those arenas, right, to the death with the
Yeah.
people watching, right? Yeah. Would it make it any more special if it was Pitbull still when you were fighting for the title to be able to get that revenge on it? So it would almost feel like everything's perfect at that point.
Yeah, like I thought a lot of times about that, because when I fought him, and then he was walking into the finals, I actually thought that yeah, he will win the tournament, and I don't know, he might retire or not. So until he got beat by AJ, and then he got the belt again from him. Until that, I really thought that I would never be able to face again because probably gonna walk out and retire or change organization or something like that, try something new. Because if you will won the tournament, what else he has to do in Bellator? You know what I mean? So that was my thinking. But now it's a very very open possibility. But I'm not focused on because my focus right now it's being world champion, and I don't care. I don't care if it's Patricio. If it's Patricio, great, because I'll be able to prove that that was a one fight in out of 10. But I really don't care if it's Patricio or other guy. I just want to be there, fighting for the belt, and take what's mine.
Yeah, let me ask you. I don't know if you've been asked this before, but let me ask you this. And if it doesn't even make a difference to you, then that's fine. But do you prefer chasing the title in a Grand Prix like format style, or do you like it how it is now? Just curious.
There's no big difference. Of course, with the Grand Prix, it's more clear.
Right.
You have the semifinals and finals and whatever. But to me, of course, when his ranking is a bit more complicated. And I'll give you an example. Right now, I'll beat Matt, and let's say that I'm right, and Pico is going to face, for example, Jeremy Kennedy, that is ranked number 6. if Pico wins, I truly believe that the fight for the number one contender, me and Pico, will happen. But now let's say that Jeremy Kennedy beats Pico. I doubt, for example, that Bellator will make me and Kennedy fighting for the normal contender. I don't know. I might have to do something else. So with the rankings, it's more dodgy. It's not as clear as it is with the Grand Prix. But it doesn't make real difference because I'm not in a rush. I want when I'll be facing someone for the belt, I want to be 200% ready. So I'm just taking my time, going out there, taking great names. Like now I'm facing Maz, and after we'll see and beat him decisively. That's what matters. Leave no doubts, and my time will come, and when my time will come, I'll be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of fights, right? You have knockouts, you have submissions. Is it important for you to be able to win the fight anywhere, or do you just have the mentality of I'll win by any means, whatever I have to do?
Yeah, my like I'm getting ready to win, you know. But I see myself finishing this fight. I feel it nearly. I feel it nearly that I'm gonna finish Mads. But it's tough. It's tough as nails. So I'm also expecting with a 3-round war. I'm good at those as well. That's my thing. I'm naturally good at those. I don't need to prepare myself mentally for deep waters because deep waters is my spot. That's what I feel good. So if it goes 3 rounds, I know I'll be good, but I can feel it that I'll be able to make a noise. And like I've said before, last year when I faced Baishal in Dublin, I said to everyone, "This is going to be the fight of the night. I will win, but this is going to be the fight of the night." And I was right. And right now, I feel in my bones that it's going to be the performance of the night.
Well, I mean, if there was any reason to not be excited for this fight, we have one now, right? So, and let me ask you as we wrap up, and I appreciate the time, man. It says you recently stated that you were going through some of the toughest time in your career there for a bit, right? For anyone that's struggling in their lives right now, what would you say that got you through that time?
There was a lot of things. Being able to surround yourself and focus on surround yourself by the ones that you love and you trust. Family. A small circle of trust friends. And one of the things that I also did was I switched off my social media. For quite some time. I didn't delete it. I just turn it on, my social media, and told myself, I need time, and at the same time trust the process, relax, and I kept my head down, kept working, kept training, not with any pressure of, oh, I need to get better at this or at that, because that's just putting more pressure on you. So I was just going to the training. If I learn something new, great. If I'm not, I'm just doing what I love. After the training, get back to my family, get back close to my kid and my daughter, and that's all matters. All that love will put you back on your feet, and you will feel the work day after day. Start to things. If there's anything from a loss that sometimes takes you confidence in some aspect, that thing with time will get out. And but that the most important thing is, it's sometimes it's very important to give yourself time. And I think that will be the advice for anyone going through the same, is surround yourself by who really matters, and give yourself time. Things will regroup, and you will have, you when I say you, anyone will have his chance again to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think that's great advice for anyone listening, perhaps going through some stuff. And I think they could perhaps apply that to their lives, maybe get a good outcome out of that. So as we wrap up here, I want to say, you were born in Portugal, right? If I'm not mistaken. I was born in
Yes.
Spain, in Galicia. So I'm
Oh,
pretty
nice.
close. What part of Portugal were you born in? I'm just curious.
I'm from up north, close to Porto, Guimarães.
Okay.
It was where Portugal was born. You know, the first king and everything. We still have the castles over there, so we are very, like people from my city. We are very patriotic of our city. Normally, we say that first we are from Guimarães and then we are from Portugal.
Sounds good, man. It's good to know a little bit of background on you for maybe those who didn't know. And you know, we're gonna catch you in action now at Bellator 285 in Dublin, right? You take on Mads Burnell, rather. So it's gonna be a good fight. We're looking forward to it. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.